do, Rio, and it was great. I got to make some good friends. I got to meet some good people. One thing about USAB is we're all together, and we're all playing for one cause. And that's important for us. And then having Coach Pop, take over, that's going to be exciting.
USA basketball is always a blessing, so something you don't never take for granted. Excited to get it going, a little bit.
It's great. It's exciting to be back again. Probably like my third time for USA basketball, so it should be fun, exciting. I know everything to expect, so just excited to be around all these other talented players and have some fun.
So I'm very excited. Anytime I can wear the 3 letters across my chest, it's something that's I'm playing for something that's making of myself. So to be able to take this first little stepping stone and get to the ultimate level, it's huge for me.
Oh man, super excited. I mean, this is what every kid dreams about, like coming up and playing, and just to have the honor to be here and be selected, man, it's a huge blessing.
The players are excited, and so are we to be back. We welcome you back inside our studios. Long time no see. Smitty, Stern, you, and USA Basketball commences. So once again, we gather in the heat of Las Vegas, some of the greatest players in the world.
No, it's just fantastic. And obviously what Jerry Colangelo and everybody from USA Basketball, Jim Tully and those guys, putting this together, making it, like you can see, it's a brotherhood, and getting a chance, not like we did, just get together and show up. And obviously in that 2000, it was tough because we had a couple of injuries, and we had a little bit of a scare, Casey. So I think the way they're doing it now, you're building relationship, you're building some camaraderie, and you're getting a chance to gather up and get ready for 2020.
All right, we gather our brotherhood of our own as we get a chance to welcome in 2 more members of our roundtable here on Game Time to talk about this, among many other stories in the NBA. He is at TV's own and hoopscritic.com and everything else for Brian Geltzeiler, who is up in Maine running things from your camp. Geltzeiler, can we call it that in Maine? Camp Geltzeiler?
Casey, from your mouth to God's ears. I mean, I'm up here in a hotel. If I had my own camp, how happy I'd be. I mean, I'm just going to take my hotel room on the water, sit here and be happy,
We got a guy who would like to be leaving Las Vegas because he's already complaining about the heat. Our guy Sekou Smith, who's out there as well for USAB. Sekou, I want to start with you. Can you give us a sense of what the atmosphere has been like and who has been around when you look at kind of the beginning here of the mini camp we had put together?
Yeah, well, Casey, it's, a lot of familiar faces you'd expect of that 35-man roster for the U.S. men's senior national team, minus, of course, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Draymond Green. A couple of those guys, a couple of the familiar names and faces aren't here. But it's interesting. It's, with Greg Popovich taking over, it's like that first day of school, with the new teacher, everybody wants to impress. Everybody wants to, make an impression and get on Pop's good side. I don't think it's going to be difficult, with the way this is structured. They're going to have 2 hard days of practice, working out, the best of the best going at each other. And it's going to give them a chance to leave, in the minds of the coaches, and especially Greg Popovich, some ideas about who's going to fit best for the competition next summer. And, of course, who might be the main pieces for 2020.
Sekou, I'm so glad you said it. That guys are really coming out there. And, yes, it's fantastic. It's an honor. But you said it best. You won. You got to impress Greg Popovich. Some of these guys who've been there before, they just haven't played for Greg Popovich. And like you said, some of these new guys, even though there's a 35-man roster, you're going to have pride. You don't want to just come out to Vegas and don't give yourself a chance as an NBA player and not make the team.
Yeah, and Smitty, that's the interesting part is that, you're talking about some of the most competitive players on planet Earth. John Wall, Russell Westbrook, then you got young guys like Devin Booker. You got a lot of different guys who want to make an impression and who are trying to fight for spots on this team. It's not like this is playtime for these guys, and you're not just picking them out of a hat. They got to go out there, compete, and earn these spots. And I've been out here over the course of the past few cycles. It's legitimate competitive basketball. These guys want on these teams. They're not just out here, for a few nice days in Vegas and to hang out, go out to the pool and relax. I mean, they're here grinding away, sweating it out, trying to make one of those spots on the roster for either, China in 2019 or Tokyo in 2020. And that's what you want. You want the best that we have to offer on that stage internationally when it's time to play.
Well, one of the guys who certainly is one of the best we have to offer, who was not on that list, he's a notable absence, if you will. Kawhi Leonard and Geltzeiler had a great piece who everybody should check out on hoopscritic.com, where the Spurs went wrong. Where are we now in Chapter 17 of the saga of the status of Kawhi Leonard?
Well, listen, Kawhi he's ready to roll, and once training camp starts for Toronto, he's expecting to be a full participant right now, Casey. The reality is I think this whole USA basketball thing for him is once the Spurs dealt him, Kawhi is not interested in a media sideshow, and his attendance there would certainly create that in light of what's gone on. So I think the fact that he was able to be dealt without necessarily having to go out there and show things that healthy, and he doesn't want to distract from what Greg Popovich is trying to do. And despite reports, the two of them now that Popovich has traded Leonard, Leonard's fine with him. Leonard's not angry at him anymore. He wanted out. Pop got him out. He does understand he could have been dealt to a lot of worse locations. He's going to go have a chance to contend in Toronto this year as one of the best players, if not the best player in the Eastern Conference. So that really has nothing to do with it. It's that just at this point in time for Leonard, it really didn't benefit him all that much to be able to be there. So I don't think it affects anything in terms of whether he's going to be there next year to play next summer.
Geltzeiler, just to follow on that if I can, how much residue of bad blood at this point, at this date, is still left over from the entire situation a year ago, really culminating in the deal between Kawhi and the organization, not just Pop specifically?
Yeah, Casey, I think it's more on the Spurs side than it is on Leonard's side at this point. Leonard didn't want to be there anymore. The whole trust had broken down on both sides in a major, major way, even to the point that the Spurs dealt him before he could have come out for USA Basketball. They didn't necessarily trust that Kawhi wasn't going to bail at the last minute, so they made sure they had a deal in place before he could be devalued anymore. Kawhi ceased trusting them a long time ago for a variety of circumstances, and the reality is once that trust broke down, the whole thing was over. But I think there's a lot of bitterness on the Spurs side to how this all went down with Leonard and how their hand was forced in that way. I think Leonard understands he's going to get to where he wants to get to next summer, which is most likely going to be Los Angeles. And I think he understands being in Toronto this year. He wanted out of San Antonio. He could have, as I said earlier, could have done a lot worse in Toronto. I don't think he's even close to as bitter right now as you're getting from the Spurs side.
You know, Smitty, I want to ask you, because you and I haven't been on since this, so we haven't talked about it. What was your reaction to the deal and now kind of letting it all kind of, I guess, soak in the last few days? How do you look at the move of Kawhi to Toronto?
Well, for me I played in that organization. First of all, to go way back, this has never happened to Popovich and the Spurs organization. They've never really had their superstar have problems within the organization. Far as back I can remember. And you started talking about the David Robinson, the Tim Duncans, the Manus, the Tonys. So I think this was a shock to the Spurs system. And then obviously having a guy like Kawhi Leonard voicing that he wants out and where he wants to go, it was very interesting to see. And I'm still interested in, maybe hear from Brian and Sekou, whereas do you really still think Kawhi is happy that he's going to Toronto? Toronto's a fabulous city in my opinion, but that is still where he supposedly said, because he doesn't talk much, that he wanted to be in L.A. So is this still about Kawhi just going to play his 1 year, in their opinion, your opinion too, Casey, and him still trying to get to L.A.?
Yeah, I'll kind of take it around the table, and Sekou, I'll go to you on this. I think, really, if you're a Raptors fan, you sit there and you start to think nowadays everyone's going to go look at Paul George, right? We thought, well, geez, why would you bring him in? He's going to go to L.A. anyway. And he loved playing with Russell Westbrook, and he stayed. Sekou, is there a chance that we can get the Raptors and Kawhi on the same page? Are the Raptors thinking that way? Or are they looking this purely as just, we're going to bring him in for a year, take a shot at the title we haven't had with LeBron out of the East, but we know for a fact Kawhi will leave?
No, I think you have to look at it that way if you're the Raptors. If you're Masai Ujiri, you took that risk hoping that you could convince Kawhi that Toronto would be the place for him. And, yeah, Paul George's situation is a great example for how things can change in a matter of months, in a calendar year. Nobody ever talks to Kawhi to know exactly what he's thinking or what's on his mind. The best way to monitor that and the best way to get a gauge of it is to have him in your program. So if I'm the Raptors, I'm feeling great about my chances of not only having a big year with him in tow right now, but potentially convince them to stick around, because you're talking about being a top dog in the Eastern Conference. What better situation could you ask for if you're Kawhi? Your own team, a chance to compete for championships? No, Toronto's not L.A. which is where, you know, you've said you want to be. But if you're serious about winning titles and filling out the legacy you've already begun as an NBA player, Toronto's not a bad place to it.
Geltzy, even though Sekou's in Vegas, I feel like if you and I were to look at the odds or to ask him to go take a look at the books, they'd be pretty good, right, that DeRozan ends up on this team with Pop running it?
I would think so. I would tell you right now, Casey, I'd be shocked, okay? It would be the biggest upset that we could ever see if DeRozan doesn't end up the team with Pop running it. Pop's going to want him there. Listen, Coach K, when these teams are put together, he always had his guys there. He always had guys, even at times when it was a stretch, and maybe when it was Mason Plumlee on a World Cup team, guys, it was a little bit of a stretch. But he got his guys there. There's no reason that Pop is not going to have his guy there, too. DeMar DeRozan is absolutely going to be on this Olympic team, Casey. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Guys, appreciate it. Thanks so much. Sekou, enjoy the time in Vegas. Get inside in the air conditioning and the noise. And Geltzy, go back to Camp Geltzeiler and, sit out and look at the lake.
Appreciate
Your
it.
mouth to God's ears, Kate.
All right,
Thanks
buddy.
so much, guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys. Appreciate it. A lot of love from our guys, and we got to get into Kevin Love because that's the other big news from the last few days, and the extension and now the relationship and the different relationship. Could we see the old Kevin Love now as maybe the focal point of the offense?
You know, first of all, I commend the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're showing their fans we're not tanking. And everybody talked about it'll be just 1 year after LeBron.
Right.
But when you sign Kevin Love to a 4-year, 120, you're saying we're still trying to be relative in the Eastern Conference. My question is, Casey, is like the question you had to me about, can Kevin Love regain the Kevin Love of Minnesota? I would say I don't think so, but I think with more touches and a focal point, hopefully for Kevin Love, I would love to see him get to some numbers of 24, 25, and 14 rebounds, those big games, and being able to carry a team. I don't think he can carry the team to the Cavs, to the Eastern Conference Finals, but love for them to be relevant in the Eastern Conference.
A lot for Ty Lue to think about in terms of how he wants to run things. Not so easy as it used to be, knowing where things were going to go through LeBron. We know where we're going next. We've got more with you coming up on Game Time. We'll get an opportunity to head over to the WNBA, where history is among what we'll look at. Don't move.
This summer.
I know it's meaningful in terms of like longevity and just all the great players that have played in this league. So it's pretty cool to be at the top of that list.
A piece of WNBA history today, of course, is the fact that Sue is playing and starting her 500th career game.
It's almost surreal. I don't even realize the magnitude of it. At the same time, I can kind of take a step back and just know that, like every athlete in the WNBA, it required a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, so it's something to be proud of. Let's go! Start on 3, 1, 2, 3! Start! Come on, Alex! Hey, there's quick step-ups!
The incomparable Sue Bird. I mean, you keep seeing the milestone after milestone. It has been everything to the WNBA.
When I look at this game's played milestone, I think that's what's most important, is that I've been with the same franchise and I've been able to experience all of this with the fans in Seattle, with all the teammates and coaches along the way. I have so many great memories, and that's really what's more special than anything.
Amazing career for Sue Bird. We have an amazing night coming up. Saturday, it begins in the Eastern time at 3:30 on ABC. Team Deladon and Team Candace Parker as they get ready for the Verizon WNBA All-Star festivities in Minnesota. Here's Elena Deladon as she prepares.
You get her. I'm going to get her. I'm here for it. Right, one. Hey, get out. Left. 3. Get back. Let's go. Get something good here. Good shot, Mo. Good shot, Toy. All day. First. Yay!
As they head to the All-Star break, the Sky and the Mercury together. Diana Taurasi suspended after receiving her 7th tech of the season. Early on, it's Diamond DeShields on the break.
Norcross High School.
Local
in Georgia. She always been able to play.
Now, always able to play. Brienne January. 10 points in the quarter. tied at 20. More from DeShields, though. 7-7 from the field in the first quarter with 15 points. Here puts the Mercury.
Ooh, that's beautiful rotation.
Lead down to 1. But Brittany Griner, you knew she'd get into it. Wanna Bonner? Misses. Griner, the rebound. It's good. She had 12 at the half. Made the free throw for the and 1. Lead 4, Sky, about 4 minutes to go, and it's Vandersloot who had 11 at the break. 41-36, Chicago. The halftime lead eventually was 13 for the Sky.
Nice.
12-point advantage for Mercury in the second quarter. Here's Brittany Griner, more from her, fighting for position. Elbows Stephanie Dolson, who takes the fall. This is a flagrant 2 ejection.
We didn't get a chance to see the whole play. I thought that might have, not been on purpose, but the referees thought so.
Where's Joe Borgia? Duana Bonner with the fake, and the step-through lead is 8. Later in the third, it's Allie Quigley, the corner 3. She had 19 to go along with 4 assists.
I didn't even talk to Joe Borgia.
5 3-pointers. He's a star. Duana Bonner, she was all night. 30 points, 13 boards, the 3 there. The lead 3.
She's underrated. She's always underrated, obviously playing with Brittany and Taurasi, but she can play.
Diamond DeShields at 25. Sky take it 101-87. A look at the standings as we head to the break. Obviously, one too many there for Vegas trying to sneak into the mix, but Seattle at the top. Zuberg talking about all of those games. Well, how about all those wins? 19 in the first half. When we come back, we go from veterans in the WNBA to rookies in the NBA on Game Time.